Hamsters Go. I'm not sure if your Twitch username is the same as your excuse me, is your same as your crawl username. For anybody who doesn't have a nick set with Lomlobot, you can type username DCSS username where username is your web tile's name. It's not case sensitive, but type that command with username replaced with whatever your web tile's name is. It's good to do that if you haven't anyway. Okay. Yeah, maybe you is Go. Right. That is your name anyhow, it looks like. Oh, it only has one game for you. Maybe that's why. Yeah, Iggy just started playing, I think, what, a few weeks ago maybe? Well, maybe he's played before, but just started sort of like actually trying to get a character really going. Too casual for do that. Commingle. Oh, that is a thing that you can do is as a sequel nick. And yeah, I'll do that after the stream. That has to be done from IRC. But yes, that's a thing you can do, but that has to actually be done in SQL. This is the DCSS nick thing is to map Twitch usernames to WebTiles usernames essentially. It's a little bit of a hack, unfortunately, just because of the way it has to work. It just replaces the outgoing command that it relays to SQL with any instance. It replaces it. No, it actually does. It's not quite that much of a hack, but it's a little bit of a hack. But yeah, that can be set up. It just has to be done from the IRC channel. Okay, what we got going? Two-headed ogre again. Backgrounds are good for gnolls. Well, the game does recommend some specific backgrounds. I would say all spell book backgrounds are pretty good. Really what's good for gnolls is some of the same things that's good for almost any species. Like what's good for gnolls would be basically what's good for humans. So all the backgrounds are pretty much fine. I'm trying to think, is there any background that would really be like Berserker would actually be quite strong, perfectly reasonable. I can't even not recommend Berserker, to be honest. But if you want to sort of explore like the play style more, I would say Trog would not be a good choice because you're locked out of using all the spells. Yeah, the way it does is SQL has a special relay command that just set up for relay bots like Lomlobot there and Beam, and it sets the nick for the command. And when I relay, I just take the Twitch username and replace it with the setting that the user has made from DCSS nick. But it actually might even work if you did it through DCSS nick. It actually could work. Holy crap, another portal. Every level of portal. Actually, I already found Orc, so I don't really need to be on D13, but I am already at XL15, so... And I just opened this portal, so I guess we're gonna do it. Got a portal, gotta do the portal, right? It's there, we've gotta do it. Why are you gonna enter the death trap, Gamafunk? Well, it's because it's there. That's why. Yeah, Scald is a weak starting background. It definitely is the playstyle, but it's not one I would really recommend to people necessarily trying it out because it's just such a relatively weak starting background. On the other hand, gnolls are really strong, so they have a really easy early game. And then you get Spectral Weapon, and then you're quite good. Oopsie. No, I wanted the Deep Elf. Gotta watch out for these guys. They have, like, Lightning Bolt. They're kind of nasty. Yeah, we gotta send out laminated cards. That's how we'll raise funds. We'll do a Kickstarter. If you aren't aware of some of the help commands though, under here, obviously you do have a list of commands. I'm sure you've seen this, which is, you know, obviously comprehensive, and there is a quick start guide, but this is just really like basic orientation. We forgot to update this for a long time, and it probably has some out-of-date info, to be perfectly honest. Some things that people don't know about though, for the X command, you can hit question mark and see a list of commands that work only in X. And there's a ton of commands here that people often don't know about. Like you can set exclusions from within X. You don't have to go into capital X map mode. And especially some of these commands for like firing a missile and having it end at the tile and not continue to pass. Exclamation point, fire, don't stop. Like this is a really handy one if you have a shot. Do I have a bolt spell? So say I really wanted to hit like you know, a tile where it's not actually in range. It has to be a tile you can see in Los, but even though this is out of range, I can hit exclamation point here and it will still fire according to that ray path. And that can allow you to hit extra monsters sometimes, even though you're firing out of range. Yeah, X is, it's not exactly a secret, but a lot of people go through the game a long time and don't know about it. But yeah, X question mark, and for map mode it works the same way. Capital X in map mode, you know, this is what you use to scale. Oh, I didn't do it right, there we go. But you can get capital X then question mark, and these are commands that work only in map mode. Things like forget level map, control F, that's really handy, because if you want to re-explore map for like a monster that you know is on the level, you can forget the level map, and then re-auto explore the level. And it will just re-auto explore because all the map history is forgotten. And it still shows you the core of the structure of the level. It's just the tiles for exploration purposes get revisited. Yeah, doing an annotation, clear item and monster memory. Control C is also sometimes handy. So always, if you forget, check out those. Oh nice, there we go. There's the chaos effect that we all wanted. Chaos, or the berserk. Oh, there it is again. I'm carrying around this Lich Sworn Wing. Is this? This really is the Ring of the Lich, because it's RF minus, it's a bunch of RC, it's wizardry. Invis, because Liches cast Invis a lot, right? Ice Cave really actually is free for me. I've got this ring, which I will actually wear, because it will give me practically ice immunity. Oh look, a pack of ice beasts. Wonder if I should cast PVC on them. You know what? I think that was a good idea. And you know what's good on statue monsters that cannot move? A spell that constricts. Oh, here we go, ugly thing. Rip. Okay, so these guys, I will constrict. They will not move. They will just sit there and take constriction. Now the only thing is I can't do anything else. I have to sort of sit here. I could wand them some if I wanted to. If I had Descent Wand, I actually might. I don't know that I actually want to waste wand charges. I think there's another one. Okay, so they released their grip because the enchant ran out, so I'll just redo it. One down. There you go. Not much you could do, Mr. Statue. Lee's Stone Statue Bulb, yeah. Ming Lee's Rapid Destruction is also an excellent spell, but I don't think I've found that yet. So all I have to do is recast this and really can't do much. I think I mean, statue monsters are generally just trivial monsters anyhow, so that seems really strong, but oh look, nice dragon scales. Those actually could be worthwhile depending on what my resists end up looking like. Artifact ring. The annotation for that is so I can say eat, I can hit E and then 1, and it will eat whatever has that annotation. And you can do that. I think I have that for scrolls as well. I actually don't use these very much. I should use them more often. Yeah, for a fire elementalist, that's true. Just cast Fireball. Might one-shot all of them if you have good spell power. But yeah, you can hit R and then it's and I also have it here, so I know what is on these slots, so I could hit Q and 2. It's not super convenient, but it is sort of a nice thing. It's an annotation that you can add to anything to add a shortcut that's based on a number. I will pick this up. Let's see this ring. Oh my god, a second Startelli Arlek ring. What are the odds? I say I'm already carrying a Startelli Arlek MR. Well, this one's MR++, one's MR-. Don't really have. Well, it's sort of decent as a swap, and I'm about to buy. Yeah, I have a new headset. My old one was just sort of giving out. Oh, believe me, Tobias, I was going to buy it. Believe me, it's on the shopping list. I didn't forget about the ring. I'm all about that ring, but it's just I'm not desperate for Arlek right now and other stuff. Although MR would be okay to have. But what is my MR? Well, first thing I'm going to do is, yeah, I actually even have an MR ring. Nice, 3 skulls of blinking, that's pretty good. Well, there's like, I'm carrying around 2 other Arlek rings and I have one, so that's not going to be an issue for me this game. I'm just going to tab you, my friend. These guys, I don't think they're insubstantial. I also don't have any RF, do I? That's a good anti-Gamma Funk monster right there. I have no RF. All my damaging spells are conjurations based or don't work under, or draining based, don't work under, don't work for insubstantial monsters, so nice. Good para. They're all gonna have to sit here. Yep. I don't think I might have another conj sitting around. Yeah, Book of the Sky. If I want to mess with air magic, I totally could. There's also a Fenfolio for Summon Forest, which is a very good spell. Wrong target. Yep, no, I don't have, I have Book of Sky, and that's all I have. I'm making, like, it's not really a big deal. The Ifrit would be, I have Wands of Ice Blast. I could just spam Ice Blast at the Ifrit and it would die. I'm just saying, I was just commenting that it's a monster that's particularly suited to be less, I can melee it, which would actually work pretty well. It's just being RF, not having RF is slightly dangerous. They turn out a surprising amount of damage. Okay, now we will go ahead and get this ring because we are about to head into Orc, and it is a much superior magic resistance ring to the one that we got. Yep. It's a good soundtrack. Good game too. I enjoyed playing this game a lot. I had a Genesis. well, or we should be, yeah, we easily got it. It would be nice to have RF. Staff of Fire, and the Ring of Fire. What else do I have on? So I basically just need to be sure to switch to the Staff of Fire whenever I want, and that is not a problem. In fact, I will probably just go ahead and put that on B. Yep. Always like the little map in that game. It's like, which animal are you going to ride on now? First you start off, it's like a turtle village, and then you ride on the back of an eagle. I think that's just that's it, but it's pretty cool. First enemy is an orc sorcerer. That's unusual. Oh, what do we got robe-wise? Oh, baby. +2 Arc Magi. Yes. Yes, I will take it. First robe in Orc is +2 Arc Magi. Dev RNG? Do I have a button that gives me favorable jobs? Well, you can't prove it. You can suspect all you want, but you can't prove anything. Oh yeah, definitely, Tobias. Meleeing with a Staff of Fire, which is actually not all that bad. Strongly support using BVC when in melee type situations like that, or just, in general. The only thing is that, well, it's really nice when you melee or if you have allies up, because then monsters may not actually try to move, but comboing damage is absolutely good, which the clouds will work just great for doing that. Can't really hit this guy like this. Just want to hit we're getting a lot of nasty stuff on Orc 1. I will probably just Acid Wand you. And then Ice Blast. Don't be afraid to finish off nasty stuff with wands. That's what they're there for. When you run out of MP, a lot of people don't bother using wands. Smite targeted and AoE. Yeah, when I was testing it initially, I was comparing its damage to Sticky Flame. It costs more XP than Sticky does by a significant amount, but that doesn't prevent it from being pretty good. Yeah, the ones, what is very, very common for me to do is train at least 5 Evo on almost any character, really. It's pretty unusual that I don't train any Evo at all. 5 to 10 is quite good. Oh, I hear a whip. I'm guessing a Castlevania remix. Oh, what do you know? Gotta have a whip sound in your Castlevania remix, right? Yeah, that was intentional because Minmay didn't want the spell to be terrible. If it were 2 schools and level 8 like it is, it would just be really bad. Oh, nice. Well played, Mr. Priest. Up we go. My stealth is so good that I can't. Monsters are having a hard time. See, I can melee just fine with this EV. A lot of mistake people make on spellcasting characters is not training high dodging. And some people like to, experienced players like to avoid getting much defenses. But if you want to have a good time as a spellcaster, it really helps to have good dodging skill. At minimum of like 10 fighting dodging before you leave lair, but ideally more than that. Don't overtrain your magic, because yes, you will have better spell power and you will kill things fast. The problem is when you are in a situation where you want to avoid some melee attacks. It allows you to use your spells in closer situations much more comfortably and puts you at a lot less risk. Creates far fewer situations where you are going to have really strong hits land on you. You can't count on EV, but not training it will, not training dodging, not training fighting, you're going to have a bad time. You will be a glass cannon, as they like to say. Just a few levels is not that great. The typical route, I mean, this is a Gnoll, so I have no choice in the matter. This is less dodging than I would have on a spellcasting oriented character. I would look to have like at least 12 dodging by end of layer, possibly a little bit closer to 15, but 12 is a pretty good stopping point for end of layer. It's more like the difference between 4 dodging and 12 dodging. And combine that with the difference between, say, like 4 fighting and 12 fighting. What's more important for mages, spellcasting or your main school? Spellcasting is less important. It has like 1/4 of the influence on your ability to cast spells. You mostly want to train the skills for being able to cast the spells, and don't worry too much about the spell power, because once you get most spells available, they do sufficiently well, and that gives you the freedom to work on your basic defenses. Okay, this is the vault, so I want to be a little bit careful here. Don't have infinite MP, and I need to have a good escape. Once I've run out, I'm definitely going to fall back. Yeah, it's really easy to get flanked in Orc because there's just a ton of monsters in this branch. Many of them are really weak, but what about that one Orc Wizard that casts Confuse at the wrong time? Yeah, so typical levels of where you stop can be anywhere from as low as 6 in the spell schools that you're interested in to maybe 8. Some people like to just push it on like a deep elf and go to like 14 and just rush it. And you can totally win a game that way, but it's so much riskier if you just then compared to like actually getting dodging developed. I did, Yogi. I got it. I'm wearing it right now because it's got all the MR I need for Orc. I'm too greedy. I need it all. 4 acquire skulls, not enough for me. I want more. I need it. Look at me with my Staff of Fire melee. This is a pretty bad... If you've ever tried to build a character that uses an enhancer staff for melee, you'll find that you need something like 12 staves. You need something like 12 or so Evo to have the chance for it to proc the attack, and then you need a ton of skill for it to actually do damage, and it's not very competitive with like just a good one-handed weapon. That you could just train one skill up to like 14 and be done with it, as opposed to training like 3 skills up to 14. As a 1%. Oh, percentages are pretty tough. If you want to see a graph, there is a nice one. It's more relative. Like, I would say something like, if you want a rough heuristic, you could say something like one point of EV, or like 1 point of AC is worth roughly more than 1 point of EV. So like 1 point of AC might be equivalent to 1.5 EV if you want a rough rule of thumb, or 2. It depends on how much you value being evasive versus AC. Part of the struggle for spellcasters is anything that lowers the spellcasting success significantly is really bad for them. And the reason for that is they have to dump a ton of XP into the spellcasting skills sooner in order to use those spells. Obviously, you can find wizardry, and it can relatively not matter that you're wearing like troll leather armor, or even something better if you've got vehement and you've got wizardry on top. It sort of depends on the spell and how much wizardry you have. Also a little bit how much strength you have if you're wearing armor that has any encumbrance. But the wearing heavier stuff is really bad for casting spells, and it forces you to put XP into expensive things that you've already trained a lot of, like 10 to 12 levels of, just to get it better. You're going to train those levels eventually, but to have to be forced to train it now when you really want to get a bunch of fighting or a bunch of dodging, that's the part that's bad about wearing heavier armor for spellcasters. Obviously, it makes you much safer in melee, but the point of spells is where you manage to do large amount of damage, either at range or in melee range that's relatively safe. And your evasion makes things relatively safe, and having HP makes things relatively safe. So you can wear just a robe and rely on your SH and your EV. Maybe you'll have a little bit of AC from armor slots. But this character you see right here, he's really bad for meleeing an Orc Knight or something, but I'm not going to be stupid and do that. I'm going to kill it at range, or I'm going to use summons, wands, whatever. These are not tab happy characters though. This is like, you've got to focus a little bit and not tab as much as possible. If you're doing a deep elf, you're still going to want to have lots of dodging and fighting, even if you're trying to play it pretty fast, like a lot of people like to. But overall, mages, they just require your attention, because you sort of set up a fight poorly and you'll get stuck between a stone giant. Yeah, not tab happy. Not centaur hunter. You can see I rolled through orc, no real resistance to speak of. I just... saying that wearing heavier armor is viable for magic fighter hybrids that only use... Yeah, I mean lower level spells that don't depend on spell power, that are just easy to cast. It's just that doing a hybrid that gets really heavy armor just takes more grinding for XP, because you have to negate the penalty from wearing the armor. So a lot of experienced players will just ascend with relatively light armor, and they're just careful enough to not screw themselves over when doing spellcasting oriented characters. If you want to wear heavier armor, you're just going to need more XP for it. Oh, we got a food shop. Like typical stopping point spells for characters who maybe have a bit more armor, or just level 6 or so. You can definitely cast Iron Shot, Shadow Creatures. Maybe you can cast a level 7 spell, but it's going to be a little bit tougher. But you're not going to be casting Firestorm unless you're going for like 15 runes. Plus 6 protection. Int plus 6. That's a pretty good int ring.